Bonjour à tous.
Hello again. Hello everybody.
Asseyez-vous.
Please feel free to
J'espère que tout se
take a
passe bien
seat.
pour vous,
I hope
que vous profitez de la matinée.
everything is
que vous passez un
going
agréable
smoothly
moment
for
avec
you,
votre
that
famille.
you're enjoying your time with
Je vous
us.
propose de
So
continuer
now
cette matinée autour
I
d'une conversation.
Suggest we
Une
go on
conversation autour de la voix du
speaking
client
about
et de
conversation,
l'authenticité
about
qu'elle
the
peut
customer's
apporter au
voice
service d'une
and
marque.
its
Alors, comment incarner une marque de manière
authenticity
authentique,
for serving
comment créer de la
a
conversation
brand, how
autour et
to
avec une marque.
create
Pour
conversation
répondre à ces
about a
questions,
brand
donc je vous demande d'accueillir
and with a
Emmanuel
brand.
Marill,
So let's
qui est le
welcome
DG France d'Airbnb,
Emmanuel Marill,
Laurent,
who is
responsable
CEO France
relation
for
client de Claudie Pierlot,
Airbnb.
et Maxime Garrigues, qui est le directeur général de l'agence Xprime.
Héloïse Laurent, who works for Claudie
Donc, merci
Pierlot
à
and
vous
Maxime
trois d'avoir
Garrigues
répondu
for
présent.
Xprime.
Je suis très content déjà de vous avoir
Thank you for
en fait, vous
having
représentez
accepted
chacun dans
our
votre
invitation.
métier, trois experts
Each of you
du sujet.
has
Maxime, plutôt en tant que
expertise.
prestataire.
Maxime, as a service provider,
Héloïse,
Héloïse,
la relation client
as a
d'une
customer
boutique,
relationship
assez traditionnelle, d'une
of
maison
quite
qui est
a traditional
Pierlot.
company.
Et toi, Emmanuel, plutôt
And
une
you,
nouvelle forme d'économie
Emmanuel,
collaborative.
a new type
Et du coup, votre point
of
de vue
economy,
va être très
collaborative
intéressant. Donc, pour
economy.
commencer, Maxime,
So let's
toi,
start
chez Xprime,
with Maxime, Xprime,
ton métier, c'est d'accompagner
and your job
les directions
is
dans
to
la
accompany
réflexion de stratégie de marque.
executive leaders
stratégie
in brand
digitale.
strategy and
Est-ce
digital
que tu peux nous
strategy.
dire en quoi la
So
conversation est
let us know
essentielle pour
why conversation is crucial for you.
Alors, déjà, la notion de marque
Okay,
et la notion
first,
de conversation
the
sont totalement intermêlées. Ces questions de marque, c'est
idea
en
of
fait un
brand and
concept,
the idea of conversation
un mot qu'on a
are
donné à un
deeply
concept dérivé.
connected.
Si on prend
A
l'exemple de
brand
Claudie
is a
Pierlot,
concept,
Claudie Pierlot n'est pas
an
quelque chose
idea.
qui
As
existe,
an
c'est un
example,
art, c'est pas une feuille, c'est un
Claudie
concept.
Pierlot
Pareil
is
pour
not
Airbnb.
someone
La
who
notion de
exists.
marque est très interliée
So
à la
the
notion de conversation. Et
definition
d'ailleurs,
of
tout le verbatim
mark
autour de
of brand
des outils
is
de
connected
communication est très lié à la
with
conversation. Quand
conversation.
une marque
And
communique,
when
on dit
a
qu'elle prend la
brand
parole.
communicates,
On demande
we
quelle est
say
la
that
personnalité d'une marque.
it takes the
Donc, on
floor.
s'exprime. On
We
veut
speak
générer
about
du
the
bouche à oreille.
personality of a
En fait, la notion de
brand.
marque, c'est de la
So,
conversation. Une marque, une bonne marque,
a
c'est une marque
brand,
qui converse.
a good brand,
Donc ça, c'est un
is
premier
a
point.
conversing
Et ensuite,
structure.
la question est liée à la confiance.
Secondly,
Je crois
trust.
que la notion de conversation et la confiance
And
a
I
aussi
think that
été très liée,
conversation
parce
and
que,
trust
rappelez-vous, il y a quelques années, on
go
parlait du
hand in
Web 2.0,
hand.
les plus vieux d'entre
People
nous se
used to
rappellent
speak
d'un parle
about
de Web social,
Web
mais une des révolutions
2.0,
du Web
and
2.0,
one
c'est
of
que
its
entre consommateurs, on pouvait
revolutions
parler.
was that
Et
we
il
could
y avait notamment
speak
une forme de conversation
between
qui était les formes de conversation
customers
asynchrone où le consommateur,
and
quel qu'il soit, laissait des
we
commentaires,
had
des avis. Donc c'est une forme de conversation. Pour
no
d'autres
synchronicity,
consommateurs qui, quand
no
ceci
synchronicity
faisait des
in
recherches,
a conversation
tombaient sur ce
where a
contenu. Et
customer
évidemment, si les avis,
used to
les
leave
reviews, les
an
commentaires étaient
opinion
négatifs,
that was
on avait
read
moins tendance à passer à l'acte
afterwards.
d'achat. Et nos amis de chez Google
And
ont breveté
if
ça, et
the
puis, voilà, c'était
opinion
zéro
was
moment of
negative,
truth.
then
Donc ça, c'était un peu la première génération
there
de
was
conversation
less
qui était liée à la
incentive for
confiance.
buying a
La
brand,
deuxième génération,
and
c'est un
that
peu ce
was
qui arrive
labeled
aujourd'hui. On parlait tout à l'heure de
2.0.
l'avènement, je
And now
crois que
there's
c'est
a
Julien
new
qui
generation. I think Julien
tout ce qui est
spoke about
l'audience
that.
sur les messageries, etc. Cette
The
conversation est de plus en plus live. Et aujourd'hui,
public
cette conversation live,
messaging
si on ne génère pas une
apps, so
conversation
it's
positive
live
et une
conversation,
conversation
and
de
if we
confiance,
don't
on a
generate
un vrai
a
impact sur le
positive
business, tout
conversation,
simplement. Et une
hence
bonne marque, aujourd'hui, une
a
marque dans laquelle
trustful
on a totalement confiance.
conversation, there is a deep
Voilà une
impact on the
vision
brand.
de la chose,
So this is my
Donc, c'est super
viewpoint
intéressant, puisqu'en fait,
on your
là, tu nous dis que la
topic. Very
conversation,
interesting, because
elle est
you're saying that
génératrice de
conversation induces
et du coup,
trust,
que la confiance est
and
au
as a
cœur
consequence,
du
trust, trust is at
que
the
la
core
conversation va driver du
of
business.
Totalement.
business.
Donc, Héloïse,
So
toi, en tant que
conversation
responsable
leads
relation
to
client, moi, je suis,
business, and
je suis là
Héloïse,
depuis à peu près 5 ans, je suis chez iAdvize.
as your head of customer service,
des
I've
marques que je
been
rencontrais,
working for
parce qu'encore il y a
iAdvize for
peu,
5 years,
et
and
les
before,
directions relations clients me disaient
all
nous,
the
ce qu'on essaye de faire,
in
c'est
the-
éviter d'avoir un contact avec le client.
for
En fait,
5
le contact
years,
client,
head of
ça coûte cher.
customer service,
Et du coup,
try
ce qu'on
to
cherche à
avoid
faire, c'est
any
diminuer le
contact
coût.
with the
Aujourd'hui, en fait,
customers.
on est en
So,
train de changer complètement
and now we're
braquet
completely
et de se
shifting
dire, en fait, la conversation, elle génère de la
positions,
valeur
and
et elle génère du
conversation
business.
adds
Quelle est votre position
value
autour de ça chez
and
Claudie
creates
Pierlot?
business. What is your viewpoint? For Claudie Pierlot, what we're trying today is to increase the conversation we have with our clients, more and more contacts, more and more interactions because it adds value, interest to our brand. We have real-life shops, but we take into account the increase of the digital market, so we try and recreate the situation you can have in a physical shop online, the relationship with our staff, how you can find the same experience online, and it happens through chat, through conversation. For instance, if I go to the Claudie Perlot website, and if I hesitate, I'd like to have the advice of a staff person as well as I would have it in a shop in real life. And we try and speak with our customers and use all the opportunities to make business, yes. And we decided to start having this interaction at the same schedule we can have it when our shops, our real-life shops are open. But then we understood that our online customers don't always visit our digital shop at the same time they would for a real-life shop. So we wanted to engage passionate people who would be happy to interact with customers out of the standard opening times. So you have organized a community of experts that are paid for giving advice and for helping your customers to have a great experience. Yes, when you're passionate, you always give great advice. They have a viewpoint from the outside because they are themselves customers, but at the same time they know our brand very well, so they can really have high-quality advice. They really accompany the customers, they have a personal relationship with our clients. So our website offers this type of advice, and people like to come back to our digital shop in order to have once again this kind of experience. Julien, when he introduced this event, spoke about Airbnb, and Airbnb is today a reference when you speak about a brand that provides customers with a service and as well as experience. So what is your viewpoint from Airbnb on this? Hello, everybody. It's a huge question because the notion of experience is a specific activity for us. Yes, where you have trust, where you have genuineness. So what is important for us, let's go back a few years ago. If you would have said, listen, you will give your keys to someone, the keys to your home to someone you don't know, I think everybody would have said never. And I think this is what people said, actually. And today we understand that because of design, our website has a label where you have hosts that are super hosts, and they are labeled as such, and this label gives trust. What is also crucial is the opinion. As a brand, if I tell my customers that this is a great place, my customers may believe me or not believe me. But if you, David, if you say, I was at that place and it was great, and you've got dozens of people who say so, and it is actual, because if you want to give your opinion on Airbnb, you have to have slept at somebody's place. So it is trustful. And the last but not least element we introduced in 2011-2012. So all the insurance, we guarantee our customers if an object is broken, and all this trustful atmosphere is the basis of the Airbnb model. So you go to somebody's place or you host somebody, because if you host someone who comes with his family, children, and this is the core of the Airbnb model, whether we're speaking about housing or our new activity that is experience. Via a rating system, yes, double rating system, double, and I insist. So the host gives a mark, and the traveler gives the host a mark. And this is crucial for us. And conversation, well, conversational processes happen at the host level. A story that happened to me. I witnessed a discussion at a baker's, not far from here, actually. And just before me, sorry, I'm just telling you about my private life. Okay, I live in Nantes. It's not Brittany, this is an issue. We won't start the issue whether Nantes is in Brittany or not. But please, let's focus on our topic. Okay, so I live in Nantes, and I was on holiday not far from here in Brittany. And I was at the baker's, I was queuing up, and just in front of me, a woman was speaking with the seller, and she told her that her daughter had made 800 euros hiring her place. And the seller said, "Oh, interesting." And she said to someone else who was in the queue, "Well, you should do the same." I was there, I didn't say a word, and I thought it was fantastic. And then I understood how much the proposal for value and the direct interaction between people is a business factor. At the very beginning of Airbnb in France in 2012 were meetup events organized in real life with 25, 30 people, hosts exchanging their experience. I had people from the US, from Korea, and I did this and I did that, and you have to find a place for leaving your keys in case you're not home. So these was very practical, and that was a starting factor. Marketing just started in 2015. And in 2015, we already had between 200 and 250 offers. Maxime, as we said, you accompany big companies, and do they understand this digital evolution that is happening now, and that there are opportunities to seize? As Emmanuel said it, conversation is a fantastic media and a positive experience. We've got this example in Airbnb. A positive experience triggers conversation. Well, so, as I've mentioned, today you are a big company, you sell daily goods, and you have to have a line dedicated for your customers. And this is compulsory in France on the phone, but you are not forced, I mean, you don't have by law to offer the same service on a digital platform. And it doesn't make sense because customers tend to be more digital than to use their phones. So conversational networks such as Facebook, Twitter are led by communication and not by after-sales services. So beyond being a medium, conversation is a very good tool for improving the customer's experience. And there is a real challenge as a company. How can I improve the situation so that the staff person with her knowledge of the collection how the brand can offer the same experience online. Yes, this is the challenge. So that's why we started working on a relationship charter. So in order to define how Claudie Pierlot should speak, in order for the call center to use this approach, and this is also something that we have offered to all the experts who work for us. We try and train them to the collection the way we would do with our staff people, but although it is more difficult because they don't only sale, they also work with the after-sales situation. And now the customer service at Claudie Pierlot is part of the digital branch of our company, and we are integrating part of social networks, private messages on Facebook, and the customer service takes care of that. So you no longer think as community management. There is a real merge between the digital aspect and customer management. Or maybe we could think the other way. Customer service could become community management. This is a way for the digital evolution. Yes, this is our challenge, and we've started working on it. How can you train teams to give the right answer on Facebook, to use the same codes you can find in our shops, etc. Yeah, because conversation is very demanding. Let's take Airbnb as an example. When I want to hire a place, I have to introduce myself to the host, and the host has less than 48 hours to give an answer. Yes, because the line, I mean, you just put the photography of the host, level 1, let's say, is completely theoretical what I'm saying. Then you add a comment on the profile. This is my name, I live in Paris, I'm 35. I don't know. Thank you, I'm a bit more than 35, but anyway. This is what I like, my hobbies. And now you start creating something. Then you've got the label super host, and your line goes up. And then you start conversing. Hi, my name is Emmanuel, I want to spend 3 days in Paris for a conference. And then you start your conversation. And if you give too many elements in your answer, you may not induce trust. And the best way to induce trust is to multiply the interactions. And when you reach the trust level, somebody will go to your place and sleep there. And this is the way it works. This is the way we've adapted our design and our website without having to add external interventions. Something else we've organized is what we call the community center, because what happened in real life between hosts was virtually recreated on the internet, where there's a place where hosts can interact. This is what you said before. Airbnb was born from meet-up events. Yes, meetings organized everywhere in France with an average of 25-30 people, with an Airbnb representative, and people spoke about what happened to them. So that was in real life. 10 events a year? No, 10 events a week. And that was 2011, 12. Yes, always with an Airbnb representative here to explain, to give answers, to moderate. And then the conversation happened without the intervention, the direct intervention of the Airbnb representative. And then we shift to the community center platform, where you can ask questions. For instance, my offer has been deactivated, why, etc. And we don't answer. The community gives answer. I had a meeting, and I understood that among hosts, some people knew exactly what to answer, and sometimes they're more specific than the answers I could provide them with. So the answer really came from the audience. They definitely understand the process, so they are the best ambassadors. I'd like to add something. As you have a very strong community, so it's completely coherent. If you have a brand with a less strong community, very often your audience won't have all the answers, and it's impossible to train someone to have all the answers. So you have the issue of knowledge base and the knowledge you've got on the processes. And the challenge with conversation is that it needs almost a real-time relationship because the customers don't want to wait. We have engagement charter, that is, I acknowledge the message within the first 10 minutes, etc. And through these messages, we can follow up the quality of a conversation and how one person can understand very quickly whether it is a marketing issue, a product issue. So different expertises have to intervene, and I think this is something you know. Yes, and hence the issue of organizing all the processes in order to have the right solution very quickly without with the enhancement of the experience, because customers do feel whether they have an automatic answer or whether the process is just following automatically a roadmap. So we have to find a way of training, of updating the skills of our community, so they are always aware of what is happening on sites about collections, etc., and how do they select the right information when they speak with a customer. And in 2 seconds, I understand that this is this information I can give the customer, and I use it in a very friendly way, and the customer leaves the site being happy because his or her expectations have been met, and even beyond. Espresso, when they offer to launch a new product, and they don't speak about customers, they speak about club members, and they always think of all the questions a club member, what are the questions a club member can ask. So they anticipate. So we work with a customer service that manages the club members, and we try and anticipate all the different questions the club members can ask in order to maintain the level of the customer's experience, because when they receive an offer by email, they will have a maximum customer's experience, because Nespresso cannot. For Nespresso, I don't know, cannot be the answer. Okay, so we've understood that conversation induces trust, and now we understand how conversation at Claudie Perlot has been designed in order to create the best possible customer's experience, and also all the insight part. So the creation of transaction, of service, And all that goes around the issue of insight. I don't know if insight is the right word. When you want to work with conversational economy, a company is a business, so it's completely pragmatic and it looks for return on investment. So this is what is the financial interest for me, and the financial interest for me is, for you, is to transform. And the first and foremost interest is to listen to your customers, because these conversations, as they are written down, can be afterwards analyzed thanks to tools we've got. Let's give an example. 30% of the questions are linked with a specific product where the product description is not clear. As a consequence, we have to make the product description clearer. So this volume of conversations allows us to have an almost real-time feeling about what is happening with our customers. At Claudie Pierlot, do you use these insights? Yes, we do. We try and read as much as possible the conversations we've got with our customers, emails, chats, etc. And we try and understand in real time what our customers say. We listen. We do listen. And all the conversations are raw material you can take advantage of. Yes, because we can understand all the issues and to receive an early alert when we have to fix something in order to maintain the high level of customers' experience. But at the same time, we can structure better our business in order to share with all the team members, the creation sector, technical sector, all the feedback we've got about our products. We can also share with our shops all the positive and negative opinions, comments about the customer's experience. If there's an issue, we have to tackle it. And we have to give feedback to all the different actors. And we try and listen carefully to our clients in order to understand whether they're satisfied or not on a daily basis after each interaction with the customer service. And each time we've got a comment, whether it is positive or negative, we give an answer. We say, we've heard it. If it's a negative comment, we try and go further in order to find a solution and not to leave our customer with a negative image of our brand. And we want our customers to understand that Claudie Pierlot cares about the customer's voice. And we will take action each time. And we want to express the fact that we're very happy about the time the customer has spent to give us feedback.
So it's a global scale, because all departments can improve their style. Well, exactly. Well, if you get feedback on a specific garment, on some fabric, then I'll transmit the message to the production teams, and then for the next two seasons or collections, because then it's there's a difference in 2 years. Well, then this will have a real impact on our choices, because maybe we're going to change a fabric because we realized that it was not efficient enough. So how do you use these insights with Airbnb? You told me that you didn't read all the conversations. Well, it's very complex because there are a lot of them. But what's interesting, and just to tell you an anecdote, and this time it was in Vendée. No, it was not in Vendée. It was in Nice for the French National Day, 14th of July. And I was on the Promenade des Anglais, and we did realize that there'd been a slight increase in conversations between hosts and guests. And there was sending. Hosts were sending guests messages about the terror attack that had happened at that time to tell them, don't worry, you know, the terraces are open, bars are open, life's going on, is moving on. So I think it mellowed down a little bit the number of cancellations, and it really comforted people and reassured them. And there was another insight that was interesting to share. There's this new activity with experiences that was created last year with Airbnb. For those who don't know, it gives the possibility to people who are not owners who cannot sublet their houses. Well, they can share something else on Airbnb, maybe their passion, their job. So potentially we're going to spend 2 hours with people who are going to give us a lesson, a surfing lesson in New York, for instance. So this comes from our hosts' feedback because before they started telling us about this, they would do it themselves. And so then they asked us, how could we indicate people and inform them that I go running every Sunday morning, or that I offer my breakfast, etc. Was it in the community center? Yes, it was. And it was part of all the insights that we would get back. So that's how the idea was born, which is now one of the pillars of our activity today at Airbnb. So for companies such as ours, we're present in 195 countries. There are thousands of offers every day, so we need to produce content on a day-to-day basis. So we've created in Paris what we call a community board. So we are a platform. There are 500,000 people who advertise for their houses, and millions of people who are going to travel around the world. So it's a platform, basically. And what we need to understand is we need to understand how it works. It's so versatile. There are people from the urban sectors, people from the countryside, young people, older people. And there are many different people. And so to understand what happens there, we need to stay in touch, and that's why we created this community board with around 50 people who represent this community, who applied to become part of this team, and it's called Accueillir en France, welcoming people in France, and they give us feedback on a monthly basis, and they say, right, well, this works, this doesn't work. So what I do is that I generally spend a day to understand what works and what doesn't, to improve our service providing, to launch new marketing ideas. And so that's what makes it interesting. You know, people live the brand, and the client's at the heart of what's going on. Customers are at the heart of what's being created. Well, I think, you know, you can have the same example with Brian Chesley, who who published something on Twitter. He's one of our co-founders 3 months ago, saying, right, we're going to create a loyalty program for travelers. What would you like to get? Access to gyms, travel coupons, 24-hour services, to wait a maximum of 30 seconds. And so what were the answers? Well, a lot of people participated into this, and the team who's currently working on this will use this. I think you also have a community management activity, and this is something that you do to submit recommendations to your customers. Well, it's something we've integrated because it was a true element of our customers' experience. So we're not talking about moderating things. We would specialize in moderating things, but you know, now we not only do this, we also manage conversations. We need to upgrade the level a little bit and talk to people, to specialists, and to people who know the brand. And so a lot of customers work with us at that respect. And so that's why chatbots also work, because you can't always find someone to talk to you. But if you wanted to talk about something in the automotive sector, if your first request is supporting department request. Well, the first thing you're going to need is a reference number. And so that's the starting point. We help brands at that respect to use AI. But we also use conversation, because we said it was a tool to increase the conversion rate, and it also increases loyalty. I don't know about you, but if, for example, if my wife wants to buy a dress at 12:30 at night and knows that there's a stylist or a fashion designer who could help her, well, this will really encourage her to go onto the website and try to communicate, whether it be on the Claudie Pierlot website, or maybe with this girl on the French TV, the Brazilian girl Cristina Cordula. If from 12 to 7 in the morning you have 7 stylists who are available to answer your questions, well, this will attract customers, and of course you're going to distinguish yourselves from competitors. And you're going to stand out, and this will be a communications tool and asset for your company. So the first customers who launched these experts communities, it's a good way to scale up. And they're the best people to know what's good and what's not. They're the best ambassadors. So they need to communicate clearly on this, and so other brands are starting to sense this possibility to communicate on that kind of service providing. Sometimes, in the future, you can also start talking with bloggers, etc. This will be useful. Is it something you're considering? Yes, we are considering that kind of things at Claudie Pierlot. Some people are passionate, and a lot of people buy on a very regular basis. They buy clothes to renew their wardrobes. And when they would tell customers, well, go for this one, I have this one in my wardrobe, and I know what it's like. And so there are relationships that create between experts and customers, and they would meet up after 2 weeks chatting on the web chat, and they would always talk about us. Right, so now's the time for questions. Are there any people who'd like to ask questions? We have some minutes left, and you have the link on your badge to ask questions. So there are lots of questions about the expert community that was selected to answer the visitors' questions on Claudie Pierlot's website. Is ROI something important to you? Can you give us a little bit of insight on profitability? I can't give you any figures, unfortunately, but it's very good, and we keep investing at that respect. And what I can tell you is, during strong customer operations, we know that there are more than 600 operations, communications operations with experts, with very interesting conversion rates. And So there are 3 times more contacts. So you need to slow down for interpreters, please. Okay, sorry. Well, we are very careful with all the conversations made by experts. We need to lead them on a day-to-day basis and ensure the quality. And we need to, we look at their satisfaction rate, and we are around 90% satisfaction rate. So it's as good as for ongoing sales. So there are a lot of questions in that respect. So how does this community emerge? How is it? How are people selected? There are a lot of questionnaires that are used about fashion, with general questions, and then we ask 3 questions to experts, and they need to answer them in a chat mode. And then we need to decide who is going to best represent our brand with the vocabulary they use, with the chat codes that they use. I never use exclamation marks, I never use capital letters, etc., basic things. And then these are things that we're going to use to integrate people. And so we're going to publish things on a weekly basis on the live feed. That's the interface we use to chat with experts. And so we're going to target the 10 new items to answer their questions. And so that's a daily activity that we do, that we have. And so there's one more question about the length of this integration period, this onboarding period. We don't need to train them about our outfits. They know our garments, they know our policy, they know our approach. They probably don't know the way our website works, but concerning the items we sell, we don't need to train them. We don't need to say, hey, well, you know, we're going to release this. So the onboarding process is quite quick, actually. So how long did it take to really activate this community? Well, the selecting phase lasted for months. So it was quite quick. There's another question that's totally different from the previous one. We're talking about the conversational activities cost and the opportunity that it represents for brands and the impact that it can have for organizations. Some people here in the room wonder who this customer relationship service needs to be assigned to. Well, that's a $1 million question, actually. It's a true issue for customers to determine whether it belongs to the digital, to PR, to marketing. And we've shown this with example because it's so transversal, so cross-sectoral that it can influence many different aspects of a company. Even for CRM and data, it also has to do with this. So there's no right or wrong answer here. We need to keep it as transversal as possible. So that's why a lot of future customers are aiming at this transversal activities. Okay, and just one last word before closing the session. Well, I think it's quite interesting because we do have 2 customers, guests and hosts. So, concretely speaking, we cannot think in, we cannot have a different approach than a cross-sectoral approach. So we need to really focus on community success and to understand what these people's experiences. So our interest is to have a team which works as a kind of intelligence department, and then another team that works with the product design engineers in the market to make sure that everything is in line. And sometimes guests are hosts, and this happens very often. And so sometimes, things are crossed with people right in the middle. We're going to get in touch with them. And sometimes these guests who are hosts also travel and do these experiences. And so, that's actually very interesting, and we've pushed the boundaries a little bit, and we've gone quite far, and it's working quite well at Airbnb. So thank you very much to the three of you for answering my questions.